Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're combining three of some of my most favorite things: ice cream, cookies, and CNCs. So don't go anywhere. About 20 years ago, my wife and I were introduced to a dessert called a Panookie. Now I've heard to it as a Pizookie, but basically it is a cookie that is baked in a cast iron little mini skillet, and then a nice heap of ice cream put on top, and it is warm chocolatiness goodness depending on the cookie and the ice cream. But I was reintroduced to those last year when a friend invited us over for game night, and they made some of these Panookie, Pizookies, whatever you want to call it, for us. And he had a little wooden trivet. He stuck the cast iron pan in, and I thought, you know what? I want to see if I can machine that on my CNC and make it look pretty, make it look good, and function as well. So I did some drawing up of what I wanted to do in CAD, and I came up with a couple of ideas. One is where it's got two handles, you can hold it, and the other was a one-handled deal. Now these were some prototypes I did just to prove out the concept and the idea, and I've got about 10 of these to make because I'm giving these to my siblings at a family reunion in a couple weeks. So I got to get cracking and get these things made out, but I first want to show you how I did this, because it's got two-sided machining. You got machining on the top side and then machining on the back side to give the relief for your handle on both of these. So in today's video, we're going to show you how to do two-sided machining. I thought about this a lot of different ways, and I came up with a method that I feel like is the easiest, because you want to machine it one side and flip it and get it exactly where you need it. So let's head on over to my CAM software. I'm going to show you how I did it. All right, so I'm going to pause this for a minute because I realized when editing this, it became a long video. So I'm going to put this into chapters to where you can go to the section that you want to see. So if you want to see the Estlcam software and how I programmed it, you can jump to that, or vice versa, Carbide Create. If you want to skip that all together and get to the machining part of this video, you can do that. So now let's jump into the Estlcam software. So here's the geometry of my Panookie tray. So I decided to do this in a program called LibreCAD, which is a free open source 2D CAD software. The reason I did that is because I tried to do these curves and fillets in Carbide Create, and I couldn't figure out how to get them to work. And so I'm just like, I gave up on trying to do the CAD portion in Carbide Create and just did it in LibreCAD. So here's the geometry. So let's move over to the first program I'm going to show you, which is Estlcam. All right, so this is not a free program, unfortunately, but I've been using it for years, and it's about $60. But every time they put out an update, you can get that update for free. So it's got all my tooling data that I can change, I can manipulate. I can even add pictures of what the tool looks like. I can add comments and links of where I bought it so I can remember where I purchased it before. So let's jump right into creating the tooling data for the Panookie tray. All right, so I gotta navigate to my desktop and go to the folder that this is all in. All right, Panookie tray option 1. We're gonna bring it in inches, and there is my data. So I can change in in Estlcam the size of my work area. So I can put in the parameters of my CNC, and it grays out everything else and just put in the parameters. So what I'm going to do is I want this corner right here to be my 0, 0, or I could, yep, my 0, 0. So I'm going to change this to there. So that has my 0, 0. So I need to create the holes that will receive the threaded inserts into the spoil board, and that's what these larger holes are for. So I'm going to pick my 1/8 inch end mill, and these are all the parameters that I have set that work for me, and I'm going to go ahead and create those holes. Now I'm going to use this, it's called a drilling function, helical. So if the holes are bigger than the drill bit or the router bit, then it'll do a helical motion as it goes down and drills. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight those. I'm going to highlight each one. See, it's picking the largest circle. Now I can come back and highlight all of them, and I can change the tooling data to depth of cut. I want to have this go down a 1/2 inch deep. Now that's done. That portion of this is done. I can go ahead and hit Save Project, and I'm going to change this to large holes. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to save it in my Estlcam, and then I need to save the machine data. That saved the file here, but now I need to create the NC code that the CNC will run by. So I'm going to hit Save CNC Program. Saves it as the large holes. Go ahead and save. It gives me 1 minute and 44 seconds to create those holes in the spoil board. Go ahead and hit OK. So the next thing I need to do is save this again. So I'm going to save project. I'm going to save this as small holes, because these holes are the ones that are going to actually go into the stock that I have cut out for the Panookie trays. But I need to go ahead and delete these, and then pick helical again, and I'm going to pick the small holes. And this is the 1/4 inch holes for the 1/4-20 bolt that I'll use to bolt this down to the spoil board. All right, those are all highlighted. I'm going to do the same thing as a 1/2 inch. That looks good. Go ahead and save the project. Save the CNC program. Small holes. Boom, done. 51 seconds to create those holes. All right, let's move on to the large pocket. So, let me go ahead and save this first. This is going to be large pocket. I'm going to call it a large pocket. Large pocket. So that's going to create this large hole here. Now, if you look up here at my tools that I have 2 different bowl and tray bits. One's a rough and one's a finish. So I'm going to start with the rough. So what the rough is, if I go into the data here, the rough has a step over. The rough has a step over of 50%, meaning that when it creates the pocket, it's going to step over 50% of the router bit. This is going to be a rough pass, quicker pass than the finish pass, because I need to hog out a lot of material. So I'm going to use that same helical bit or helical operation, because it is a hole, but it's going to be a pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the rough bit. I'm going to click it, and this one I want to go down 0.6 because I want a finish depth of 0.7. So that gave me everything I need. I don't need to do anything else to that one. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, drill, but I'm going to change this to the finish. Now, if I go to the machining data on the finish, I have a step over of 6%. So a very small step over, and this is so it'll make a nice clean finish pass, so I don't have to do a lot of sanding. So let's go in here and pick the hole. Oh, see, I hit drill instead of the helical, so we're going to have to delete that. So hit delete, helical, make sure I'm on my finish, and there we go. So we don't do what I call air machining. We want to put in a start depth. So I'm going to put in a start depth of 0.6 because that's what the rough pass was. And then I want to have the finish cut depth at 0.1 because I want it to be 0.7 deep total. So if you look in here on my tooling data, I changed the feed rates to 100 inches per minute versus 75 for the rough pass. That'll be a quick pass, and I did change the depth per pass to 0.05. This is going to do 2 passes just to make sure I get everything cleaned up and nice and pretty. Now that I have that done, I can go ahead and hit File. I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to save CNC Program, Large Pocket. All right, that's going to take 13 minutes. The reason it is because it's doing a lot of 2 different operations, and the final one takes a little bit longer. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and File, Save As, and we're going to do the handles. So if we change this to Handle Pockets, Handle Pocket, go ahead and hit Save, and then we're going to go ahead and delete that. And now we're going to create the handles. So this one is, so this is where we have 2 different operations here. The part, which actually cuts on the outside of the line. So if I click that, and let's change this to my 1/4 inch end mill. Nope, we're still going to do the bowl and tray. We're going to do the finished pass this time, and I'll show you a different way of doing it. So let's do a 1/4 inch end mill. Actually, we'll do the rough one. So I don't, oh, see, I accidentally clicked it, but it does, the part does the outside of the line. So we're going to go ahead and delete that. And then the hole does the inside of the line. So we're going to click the roughing bit, and we're going to click that. So if I go into the machining data, I've got a radius on the ends that are a 1/4 inch. So now if I go over here, you'll see that I'm afraid that if I do just that pass right here in the middle, I'm going to have a ridge, and I don't want that. So what I want to do, click that, there we go. What I want to do is I want to give this a 1/2 inch, nope, I want to give it a 0.7 deep. That's how deep I want it, and I'll have about a little over 3/8 of an inch handle there. But one of the things, so to get rid of that ridge, I could do another line and just do like a center cut. But there is a function in here in which I can give it a finishing pass. So if I were to, let's say, we're going to keep it at the rough bit, so I can give it a tool. We're going to go down to rough, and then I can give this an offset. So if I go 0.06, now did you see that over here? Let's zoom in. So I gave it a 0.06 and it gave it an offset. So I can offset using this finishing pass to bring the bit in so I don't have that ridge. So let's go maybe a little bit more. Let's go 0.1. There. So now I should not have that ridge. It'll do the inside first and then come back into a finishing, and it'll keep that ridge from forming by doing it this way. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click that. We're going to go ahead and kick another hole. We're going to do the exact same thing over here. Going to give it a 0.7 deep. We're going to give it a tool of the rough, and we're going to go 0.1. All right, so that's done. So let's go ahead and just make sure that's saved out. Save the CNC program, handle pockets, and save. That's going to take 5 minutes and 11 seconds. All right, let's go ahead and do the outside cut. So we got the pocket, we got the handles, now we need to cut the outside. So let's go ahead and hit save as, and we're going to save this as outside cut. Outside cut. Hit that, and we're going to go ahead and delete these. All right, now we're going to go to our part bit, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill, 2 flute. Let's see, we're going to go 75 inches per minute at a depth of 1/8 inch per pass. So let's go ahead and click that. So that's going to populate, and we want to go all the way through. And so the thickness of this material is 1 inch. So I want to do 1.02. I want to go just barely touching or going into the surface of the spoil board when cutting this out. The next thing I need to do is add some tabs, because I don't want this thing flinging around at the final pass and ruin it. So we're going to do, I usually do an 1/8 inch tab, and then the height of that I usually do an 1/8 inch. So it's just enough to hold it, but then I can easily cut it and sand it or route it off. So I need to go ahead and hit the tab button, and I'm going to put the tabs right about here. There we go. That is done. So we can you can see that the arrow shows the start point. That part is done. So we're going to go ahead and hit save, and then we're going to go ahead and hit save program, and this is going to give it the outside cut. 3 minutes and 6 seconds. All right. So this portion is done for Estlcam. All right. Let's move over to Carbide Create. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a session, and we're going to set the parameters. I already got this set up. It's 12 inches wide by 7 inches high and a thickness of 1 inch. So we're going to go ahead and hit accept that. Now we're going to, let's save this real quick. Let's go save, and we're going to save this in that same folder, Panookie YouTube, Carbide Create, and we're going to call this one I like Panookie better than Pizookie, but hey, that's my preference. All right, so now let's go ahead and import the DXF. All right, when I created this, I created it not on 0, 0 in the Libre CAD. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight, grab that bottom node, and drag it down. All right, now one of the things that I really like about Carbide Create is that I can group things together. So I can go ahead and group all those large holes together, and then I can do the same thing with the small holes. And to do that, you click one hole and then hit shift and continue to click all the others. Oh, see, I grabbed the wrong one. There we go. And they're all grouped. Now that that's grouped together, we can go over to the tooling path portion, and what I want to do is I want to click those outside holes. We're going to hit pocket, and we're going to use the 102, which is already highlighted. Everything looks good, and we're going to give this start depth stays the same. This is going to be 0.5, which is 0.5 deep. We're going to call these large holes. Remember, these are the holes that go into the spoil board that get the threaded inserts. All right, that should be done. Now if we click this, it's aluminum, let's change that to pine. There's our holes. All right. So another great thing I like about this is I can keep everything in one file and just disable it and continue on with my operations. Oh, see, I don't have a tool path picked, so let's grab those little ones. And same tool, same information, everything looks good. And now we're going to change this to a 1/2 inch deep as well. And this one we're going to call small holes. Go ahead and save that. We're going to go ahead and see the simulation, small holes. And now go ahead and disable that one. All right, so the next thing we need to do is the pocket, the large pocket that the cast iron pan is going to sit in. So same thing, pocket. This time we're going to change this to a bowl and tray bit. I believe this is one that I created myself. Ball nose, bowl and tray, select. All right, so this is the roughing pass. So we're going to go ahead and leave it at a step over of 3/8 of an inch. We're going to change this to an aggressive cut of 0.1. Leave it at 75 inches per minute. We're going to leave the plunge rate because I believe this plunges straight down instead of like a helical motion like in Estlcam. All right, we're going to go ahead and hit that. We're going to go a 0.6 deep. And we're going to call this pocket rough. All right, we're going to go ahead and hit that. And it changes it out. If we go look at the simulation, we can see the ridges from the 1/4 inch roundover of the bowl and tray bit. This does take a little bit of time to, there we go. Now, if we rotate this just to the right point, maybe, all right, right there, you can see the ridges from the bowl and tray bit. So now that that's done, we're going to highlight that again, pocket, bowl and tray. This time we want to change this to a 0.06. Oh, there's already a point there. 0.06, and we're going to change it to a 0.05 depth per pass and a 100 inches per minute. Because we're taking off only that 0.05, we can push the router a little faster. All right, we're going to go ahead and hit that. Start depth. All right, we're going to start this at the 0.6. That is where the router bit's going to stop, so I don't do air machining. Max depth is 0.7. So it's a little different from Estlcam where I did a 0.6 start depth and a 0.1 at the max depth. It's a little different, just take note of that. And now we're going to change this to pocket, finish. All right, that's going to create it. And there we go. There's the two different pockets, rough and finish. All right, now we're going to, let's take a look at that. This might take a minute. It likes to, there's a lot of machining data that it's got to crank through for the simulation. All right, there you go. We can also like hide the toolpath so you can see, there you go, looks good. All right, so the next thing is we're going to go ahead and disable both of these. And we're going to highlight, can we highlight both of these at once? Let's see here, yeah, all right, let's go back into pocket. And we're going to do a max bowl and tray bit still. We're going to keep that step over. Let's actually, we need to do a little bit, let's do the same thing, let's do 0.1 this time. A step over a 0.1 instead of 0.375. Depth per pass, I'm going to change this to 1.1. We're going to keep those plunge rates and feed rates the same. And we're going to go a max depth of 0.7. And this is going to be pocket handles. Go ahead and save that. All right, see how it brought it in that 0.1, just like we did at Estlcam, just a little different. All right, so that's done. Now let's go ahead and disable that one. And let's do the outside cut. Now this one is going to be a contour cut. We're going to change it to a, excuse me, change it to a end mill. Now we're going to do a 1/4 inch. And I believe, I'm not sure. And I know, no, we don't want that one. It's 3 flute. That one's 2 flute. don't know if it's an up or down. So let's, the nice thing also is you can go to their website from that link, and it's not found. So that one apparently is not available. Let's see what this one is, the 251. And that one is, that looks like the upcut. All right, so that looks like the one, nope, that's a down cut, down flute. I want an upcut, but we can use this one as the one I can use. I'll just do the parameters that I like to use and use it as an upcut. So we're going to change this to depth per pass at 1/8 of an inch. We're going to change this to 0.75, 75 inches per minute. Everything else looks good. We don't need a step over. All right. Now we're going to go on the outside because this is going to be cutting on the outside. And now we need to add tabs. All right, this is where I do an 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch tab. Go ahead and place those in there. Same spots that I did in Estlcam. Hit OK. Now we want to do the depth of cut. We're going to go 1.02, and we're going to call this finish pass, or outside cut. You want to name it something that you'll remember what that operation is. All right, there's my outside cut. We go ahead and hit simulation. You can see that. You can see, there you go, the tabs. You know, we didn't show the simulation of the handles. So let's go ahead and enable the handles. Show simulation. And there you go. There is the handles with the bottom cutout. Perfect, that's just what I'm looking for. All right, so now that's done, we need to go ahead and save all of these out. So let's go ahead and start with the large holes. We're going to hit enable, and we're going to hit save G-code, and we're going to do the same thing. Call these large holes. All right, that's done. Now let's move out to the CNC and actually start cutting some wood. Well, thank you for sticking with me this long, and now we're going to get to the machining, and this is where I'm drilling those holes into the spoil board. I come back with a countersink bit to give myself a good starting point to add those inserts. And then as I was putting these in, I realized that I didn't quite go deep enough. So I got to back these out, come back with a drill bit, get the right size, and get those drilled down just a little bit further underneath the surface. Now I can come back and reinsert those threaded inserts, and then I can get to actually machining the material. All right, the next step is to add those same holes, just a little bit smaller for the 1/4 bolts, onto the material. And I'm going to use my pneumatic clamps to hold these in for quick changeovers from material. And I'm just zeroing out my X, Y, and Z at this time. Now I can machine all the holes on all 4 corners. And I put a little mark off the pencil onto the left-hand side so I know which way it was machined, so when I flip it, I have it oriented right. Now I'll come back with a drill press and finish off these holes with the right drill bit to get that nice snug fit on the 1/4 bolt. Now I can go ahead and bolt this down onto the spoil board into those threaded inserts that I created earlier. Now I just need to go ahead and zero out my X, Y, and Z onto the same edge with the pencil mark going to my left on the material. Now with that zeroed out, I do need to switch over to the bowl and tray bit. So I'll go ahead and switch that out and then re-zero the Z to the top of the material with that bowl and tray bit installed.
Now we can finally get to the machining of the Pizookie tray. All right, with that all machined out, I can go ahead and do a change over to the next material. Now I want to do all 10 of these on each operation first. That way I don't have to go back into the software and keep switching out CNC programs. So with the attachment on my drill, this is a little sanding disc I found. I got to clean up some of this material that left a little nub in the middle from the operation, and then just smooth everything out. Right, now with the arrow still pointing to the left, I can flip this material over, go to the next CNC program, and cut out the handle portion of each tray. And then pull out those bolts and just do a quick changeover to the next piece of material. All right, the next operation is to cut these out. This is going through on the last pass of this one where it cuts out or leaves the tabs, and I'll come back and pull this one off, put a new one in, and hit go and cut out this next one. All right, so I wanted to give this thing some pop, something that'll be cool. So I go ahead and did a laser engraving, which says Pizookie, Panookie, and Skillet cookie. And then I did my logo on the back. And here I am cutting out each one so that I can come over to the router and give it a nice soft edge with a 1/4 inch round over bit. And I did all the edges that I could just to give it a nice smooth look. I don't have any sharp corners all the way around. I even did the inside. All right, after I'm done routing everything out, I go ahead and pull out the orbital sander and sand everything that I could as best I could with this. And then I decided to head on over to the drill press and chuck up this sanding disc. These work pretty well to get into areas that are hard to get by hand or with the orbital. And I just went ahead and sanded everything I could. Where the handles I couldn't get very well, I'm using this little drum. I'm not sure what this is called, but I'll put a link in the description. It works pretty well. I really like it. So now I'm just using mineral oil to finish these off. These can be used as candy or nut trays as well as a Pizookie tray. So I just want to make sure that I have something in there that's food grade that won't get anybody sick. I did put 2 coats on these. Nice coat on the first one, and then came back and put a second coat to make sure everything was nice and sealed.
All right, that's going to bring us to the end of this video, and I hope you learned something today on how to do some two-sided machining, bolting it down. The way that I did it and showed it in this video worked out great for me. You might have a different option or different ideas of how to do it, but give it a try. And if you want to support me, I have the DXF files as well as some plans and some rough instructions on my Etsy store. So if you want to support my channel, go check that out and maybe purchase a plant or 2. Got a couple on there. So the only thing left to do now is to give these things a try. So let's head up to the kitchen and make some Panookies, Pizookies, or Skillet cookies, whatever you want to call them. Let's go have some cookie ice cream goodness.
So the way my family does cookies is we create a big batch, put them into small balls, and then stick them in the freezer and let them freeze until we're ready to use them. And then we pull them out, let them sit for 5 or 10 minutes so they unthaw. And then we can I put 3 or 4 balls in this cast iron skillet, push it out to the edges, and then I put it into the oven. These particular chocolate chip cookies, they sit in for probably 10 to 12 minutes depending on your oven. Pull them back out and you got a nice cookie to put some ice cream on. So this is for my son. He wants a mint chocolate chip. So I go ahead and put a nice big dollop on there for him. and he'll enjoy. So I think I'll include some cookie recipes of my family's favorite into the files on my Etsy store. So that'll bring us to the actual end of this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment. Let me know if there's anything you want to see. Let me know if I can do anything better. So with that, I hope you enjoy your Panookie.